Everybody ready? Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the May meeting of the Post Commission. Everybody's had a chance to look through the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. The motion is second. All in favor? Motion carries.
All right, take the roll. Commissioner Birchfield. Commissioner Cherry. Here. Commissioner Isbell.
Present.
Commissioner Green. Here. Commissioner or Vice Chair Faulkner.
Here.
Commissioner Forrester. Here. Commissioner Halsey.
Here. Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Spangler. Here. Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Commissioner Carter. Here. And Chair Parton.
Here.
Commissioner, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Before we get started, I'd like to, I think you see two new faces to our board, and I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Carter, Murfreesboro Police Department. Everybody say hi, Mr. Carter. And also this morning we have Chief Isbell from Dyersburg, Tennessee. So some more West Tennessee folks joined us, and congratulations, and we appreciate your being able to serve with us. It's always good to have good advisors. So with that being said, go ahead with the disclaimer.
All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own departments or some that they know personally. Because they've already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest, that may have an appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes.
Thank you. Everybody had a chance. Is there any questions on the minutes from the last meeting? You've had a chance to review those, I guess, through email or whatnot. I'll entertain a motion. Motion approved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Motion carries. Decertification hearings.
All right, we're going to be updating on two separate informal hearing dates. First occurring on April 14th, 2022, in the matter of Cody G. Bain of the Gallatin Police Department. That was approved and referred to the full commission. Will be set for a full hearing at a later date. Tennessee Department of Safety and Ashley Hill. That was disapproved. No further action required in that matter. Lenore City Police Department, Shannon Runyon. That was approved for a default order of decertification. Bartlett Police Department, Charles Siegel. That was moved to a later agenda, so we will take that up at a later date. The Hendersonville Police Department and John Taylor. There was a motion approved to disapprove that. It was dismissed. No further action is required. Moving on to the informal hearing on May 19th, was yesterday, in the matter of the Grundy County Sheriff's Office and Anthony Bean. That was approved for a default order of decertification. Johnson City Police Department, Jada Berkey. That was basically, the motion was made to move that to a later agenda, so we will take that up at a later date. The Graysville Police Department and Carl Fairbanks, there was a motion to disapprove that. It was dismissed pending evidence of dismissal and expungement of the arrest of that officer. In the matter of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Jason Hemphill, the motion to approve was passed. It will be referred to the full commission, and the date for that hearing will be set at a later date. Tennessee Department of Safety and Cedric K. Miles, that was approved, referred to the full commission. The remarks for that, it will be set for a hearing date at a later date. And then Jerem Plastow from the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, default order of decertification was approved in that matter. Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion, questions? I'll entertain a motion to pass on the decertifications. Have a motion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to page 3 of the agenda. Here for the Commissioners, waivers for pre-employment requirements.
The Martin Police Department requests a conviction waiver for Stephanie Nicole Adams, hired April 8th, 2022. On April 16th, 2017, Ms. Adams was arrested in Peoria and charged with extreme DUI. On May 10th, 2017, Ms. Adams pled guilty and was convicted of extreme DUI. Ms. Adams has since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Martin Police Department, are you with us this morning? Oh, come forward, please. And if you don't mind, introduce yourselves.
I'm Don Teal. I'm the chief of police in Martin.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie Adams, I'm dispatcher.
Okay. Chief, if you could, in your employment investigation, could you explain to the board what you found out involving with the officer?
Ms. Adams lived in Peoria, Arizona, 2017. She was arrested for DUI. She satisfied all the requirements of everything that was required of her in Arizona, got her license back and everything. She's moved to Tennessee, applied with us as a police officer. We were not going to ask for a waiver at that time. We hired her as a dispatcher July of last year. She's proven to be a good employee, and we now want to ask for a waiver.
Any questions to the chief from the board? If not, Ms. Adams, could you come a little closer to the podium and kind of, can you tell us some details about this DUI arrest back in 2017?
Yeah, I was driving home one night after I had been out for a few hours with some people I used to work with. And I got pulled over for speeding. And we went through all of that. They took me to the jail that night and I just got picked up in the morning. And then they sent me a bunch of paperwork. And I basically took all of that and I didn't hire a lawyer or anything. I just went through everything in person and took care of it all myself. And made sure to get all my fines and everything paid off. Tried to do it in a timely manner.
Okay. Did you do an intoximeter test or a blood test? Do you know what your blood alcohol level was?
I did both because they do the like handheld breathalyzers there. So I did that and then we did a blood test at the station.
Do you know what those results came back as?
I don't because I pled guilty for it and they were backed up so they didn't have mine.
How old were you at the time?
I was 22.
I have no further questions. Any questions from other members?
I've got a few questions, if you don't mind. First of all, you're a Sun Devil, so you can't be too bad.
I am.
Did you grow up in Arizona?
Yes, I did.
How do you like the heat out here in Tennessee? How was your first summer?
I actually like it a lot more because it cools down at night. It's not
Cools down at night, you know.
110 at
That
midnight
dry heat, you
anymore.
don't sweat quite as much as you do in humidity, right?
yeah.
What brought you to Tennessee?
My dad's from Martin, and I have a lot of family out here. My grandparents moved back out here a few years ago, and they're getting older. So I wanted to move out here to be able to help them out a little more.
Okay, just a couple of questions about the DUI arrest. It looked like this was just a few weeks before graduation. Was it anything related to school or graduation or anticipation of parties for graduation? Or what were the circumstances surrounding that?
No, I was watching a hockey game, and
Just
made some bad
little too much
decisions
during the
that
game.
night. Yeah.
Okay. People think it's kind of funny that Phoenix would have a hockey team, you know, hockey
Yeah.
team in the desert that seems inconsistent. About the level of intoxication, they charged this as an extreme DUI, meaning that it was over, I think the extreme is 20% or 15 to 20%. So that means you're pretty intoxicated.
Yeah.
Anybody try to stop you from driving that night or try to warn you that, hey, this isn't a good idea?
No, not really. I was with two friends at the time that I had been with all day, and we just got we had taken my car there so that we didn't there. I decided to drive when I really should have just gone to Uber.
Right. Since then, I read that you took took a series of classes about alcohol and driving. And this was perhaps one of your motivations to look at law enforcement because of your exposure to law enforcement on the wrong side of law enforcement.
Yeah.
What are your drinking habits, or how has this modified your drinking behavior since 2017, 5 years ago?
I definitely don't drink and drive anymore. And I used to bartend for a long time. And once I got out of that industry, I rarely drink anymore if I even do, especially since I've moved here. I'm working overnight shifts at the police department, so I don't really do anything anymore.
Okay.
But
So,
yeah.
so the party life is pretty much behind you.
Oh, yeah. I left that in Arizona.
Chances are, as a police officer, if you were called upon to testify in court, particularly on a DUI case, this possibly could come up. Defense lawyers will pull up whatever they can to give you that time. I used to be a defense lawyer years ago, so I know some of the tricks of the trade. Do you feel confident that you could respond appropriately if you were challenged in court with this?
I do. I have taken it as a big learning experience. I was a lot younger then, and I've grown a lot since then. And I think it is something that it's not necessarily an important part of my past, but it's important. It made me change who I am as a person, and the way I want to go in life. I would be able to show how it's made me a better person, even though it wasn't necessarily the best decision.
Can you tell the commission what have you done since 2017? It looks like you graduated with a degree in marketing, and it's been 5 years. At some point, you came out here and you got on as a dispatcher, I guess about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I guess. What was going on in those years in between the time that you graduated from college in Arizona and the time you came to Tennessee?
I was looking for some marketing jobs, and I went to a few interviews, and I kind of realized that it wasn't something, sitting in an office wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. And I was kind of getting tired of living I lived in the middle of the city there, and I was tired of the city life. I used to spend my summers here as a kid, and I always loved it. So I felt like it was a really good opportunity for me to just leave everything and move out here. And then I got a job working at one of the factories in Martin when I first moved here, just to kind of have something right away. And then I was looking into the police department. I had been in contact with Captain Eric Reed before I moved out here, because I had told him about my interest in it. And I was talking to them a little bit before I came out.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cherry. Any other commissioners?
Just for informational purposes, it looks like the extreme DUI fell between a 0.15 and 0.20. So that's extreme.
Commissioner Ross?
What's your drinking habits now?
I rarely drink anymore since I moved out here. Every now and then I'll have a beer or something thinner, but if I do, I'm not drinking.
And did you seek any kind of counseling or rehabilitation for drinking?
I had to do a series of classes, and I had to go to, it was kind of like the test that I had to take to get on with the police department, where we had to fill out like the questionnaire about everything. It was kind of like that. I had to do something like that. And then I took, they were a combination of alcohol and drug classes that talked a lot about like the different effects of it and how it works in your body.
And was that during the first year when you had your long before?
Yeah.
Any other commissioners?
I'll make a motion that we do a yes or no vote. If the yes is where the waivers approved, if the no votes, we have waivers tonight.
I guess we need a motion to approve before we do the vote. I'll make that motion.
So you seconding?
I don't know if that was a motion to
It was.
approve or disapprove.
Well, no, it's a motion to essentially make a yes or no vote. Where if yes is when it's approved, no's when then it's denied.
If that's a motion to approve, then I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have any discussion on this particular motion?
I'll jump in just for a second. This, at first glance, seems kind of severe because it was a pretty high level of intoxication. But it was 5 years ago. And I think that's been a pretty good amount of time for somebody come back from this. I think she's presented herself as somebody who's capable and motivated and has a clean record, except for this one blemish on her in her history. The department is excited to have her. She's done a good job for the past year as a dispatcher, and I've encouraged the commission to approve her application for a waiver.
Any other discussion? I would say in this matter, any of those that are not in favor of the waiver indicate by saying no.
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 All in favor of saying yes?
Yes.
Yeses have it. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you,
For
Chief.
giving me this opportunity.
All right.
Thank you.
Tennessee Office of Homeland Security.
Office of Homeland Security requests the Post Commission's approval to forego post-transition school for Jeffrey Wayne Wallace.
Is somebody with us with the Office of Homeland Security this morning?
Yes, Deputy Director Bryce Allen.
Okay, Director, can you tell us a little bit about Mr. Wallace?
Yes, Special Agent Jeff Wallace is one of our East Tennessee agents. He's slated to go with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force as our agency representative. He has roughly 29 years total law enforcement experience, 22 years of which he served with the United States Secret Service. He oversaw investigations, training, dignitary protection as well. In addition to his time in Secret Service, he spent 7 years as a city police officer for Fort Payne, Alabama, where he rose to the rank of detective sergeant. Prior to coming on board with the Office of Homeland Security, he was a reserve officer for Maryville, Tennessee, where he worked cold case investigations. He served approximately 8 months with them and then joined our office at the beginning of this year.
Okay. Did he have a break in service, or what length of break in service, and what was he doing in that break of service?
His break of service, my understanding, was very minimal. It was a couple months at most, and that was really just transitioning from one agency to the next.
Is Mr. Wallace with you this morning by chance?
He should be on this call, yes.
Okay. Mr.
Morning,
Wallace.
sir.
Morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself so the board can get a feel of your experience, sir.
Roger, sir. Stop me if I get too wordy for you. I started out, I have as far as formal education, bachelor's and a master's degree in criminal justice. But undergraduate was at Auburn, Jacksonville State for the graduate degree. I began my law enforcement career as a reserve at Lee County Sheriff's Department when I was in school. Went on full-time with Fort Payne after I graduated. I served about 3 years as a road officer, as a FTO, then made detective sergeant. Also, besides the standard investigative duties, I was our lead firearms instructor for a period of time. I did some special projects that resulted in getting pay raises for our agency. After that, I went to the Secret Service. First office was in Birmingham, Alabama. Did my protective detail time, H.W. Bush in Houston. Did 5 years in Detroit field office, where I was what we would call a backup, which is like a sergeant's position. Among other things, I was the lead firearms instructor there. I also was in charge of external training, where I would teach post-certified classes in the state of Michigan, mostly white-collar investigations and tactics there. Also protection there as well. I transferred to Knoxville in 2013. In 2017, I became what they called a regional training director or instructor, whereas I was in charge of training for 8 states for the Secret Service. Also did external training, what we used to call JET or Joint External Training. One of the classes I put on was a couple of firearms instructor classes that were federally accredited through FLEDA, which is kind of their version of CALIA. And then also put on a protective class that the governor's detail attended in 2018, which was well received. I think we had 60 people we pushed through that. And also I've taught a lot of classes with my local colleagues here, and mostly access device fraud, white collar investigations. I've assisted on some state level cases included homicides. And since I've been with Maryville, I worked on cold cases, as Director Allen remarked on, and that I've also was Officer of the Month in June for a counterfeit investigation. We did state charges of criminal assimilation on. We had to get search warrants, did PC arrest. And that's kind of in a nutshell. My big thing has always been training, and I enjoy doing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Members of the commission, questions?
Has he completed training that is equivalent to basic training within the state of Tennessee?
Yes, which is why he was approved for transition school. He was approved to attend transition school.
Okay, well, per our rules, we actually can waive transition school for federal officers completed equivalent training to basic training, the equivalent to basic training within the state. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, and welcome to the state of Tennessee.
Thank you, sir. We love it. It's God's country to us out here.
Thank you. Waivers to attend another academy.
First up will be the Blaine Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for William Nathan Fugate, hired January 18th, 2022. In March of 2022, Mr. Fugate attended the Knox County Regional Training Academy, but was unable to complete the training due to an injury he received during training. Mr. Fugate is scheduled to attend Walters State Law Enforcement Training Academy in July of 2022.
Okay. Blaine Police Department or Mr. Fugate, either of you on with us this morning?
Yes, Chief Tim Wyrick with Blaine Police Department and Officer Fugate are both here.
Okay, can y'all go over with us the details of what happened with the Knox County Regional Training?
Yeah, you can tell them there now.
Well, my final diagnosis, which is my third doctor's visit, said I had a stress fracture to my tibia. And I guess I got that from running, but it really got to me after the obstacle course doing jumping.
Okay. Are you cleared by your doctors now to move on, or what's the status of that?
Yes, as of yesterday, I'm fully released from them.
Okay. Questions of the board?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Knoxville PD.
The University of Tennessee Knoxville Police Department requests a waiver to change academies for Seth Daniel Zarzicki, hired April 4th, 2022. In June of 2017, Mr. Zarzicki attended the Chattanooga Police Department Basic Law Enforcement Academy, but was unable to complete the academy due to the commute and financial demands. Mr. Zarzicki is scheduled to attend the Blount County Sheriff's Office Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy in August 2022.
Okay. Any representatives from UTK PD or?
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Dale Wolf with the University of Tennessee Police Department. I've got Seth right here with me.
Okay. Can you kind of go over a little more detail of what happened with the previous academy?
Let's go ahead and run through it.
Yes, sir. So I started the academy in June 2017. And when I started, they had held back a month worth of pay, so 2 weeks worth. And I was currently trying to move down there from Crossville, Tennessee, but I was driving back and forth. And prior to this, I had got a vehicle and some loans in my name for my girlfriend at the time. And we were planning on moving down there, and it was just a struggle. Well, when we separated, all those bills were left on me. And I continued for about another month driving back and forth, and just financially couldn't do it. So I talked with them, and I had to just leave the academy. And after that, I went back to my old job, filed bankruptcy to get all my stuff kind of aligned together. Took care of the bills. About 2 years later, joined in with the military, kind of helped me financially and make better decisions. And then once I got back from there, I moved to Knoxville and here I am. So.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Well, good luck to you, sir. And
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
all right.
Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy requests a waiver to change academies for Dana Marla Tarkan. In 2020, Ms. Tarkan attended orientation at the Cleveland State Community College Training Academy, but was unable to complete the academy due to having another educational commitment at that time. Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy is requesting the waiver to change academies so Ms. Tarkan may attend their academy in July of 2022.
Representatives, Walter State or the officer Dana Tarkana.
Director Travis Stansel here for Walter State Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy.
Okay, can you go over with the commission this morning, kind of some details of what you've looked into?
Yes, and I believe Ms. Tarkin may be on here as well. But my understanding of the situation is that Ms. Tarkin began at Cleveland State. At the time, she was also working on her master's degree, and it was going to cause some conflict with completing the academy and working on her master's at the same time. They really was kind of conflicting with each other, so she withdrew from the academy. But she only went to the orientation, and that's what held her up. She realized during orientation she wasn't going to be able to do it, so she withdrew at that point.
Okay. Ms. Tarkan, are you on this morning?
Present.
Okay. Can you tell the board or the commission a little more detail of the situation?
Certainly. So I was completing my master's degree, and I didn't know at the time that I wasn't able to complete it. It was due online, and I thought maybe I can complete both of them at the same time. But I was told by the director of my program that you have to choose one. So at that time, I just made a decision that I would complete my master's degree and then return back when I was finished.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Just real quick, looking at the rules, I would have mentioned this in the first one. None of these people we've had actually require a waiver. There's only 2 instances on the rules that require a waiver. The first is being dropped for academic or disciplinary reasons, which none of these people have been. And then also nobody on the agenda is. And the second is make up any portion not successfully completed. So in other words, if they only go back for a partial academy, otherwise there's no reason for them asking for a waiver.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Congratulations. Good luck. Walter State, I think you're up with another candidate.
Yes, Walter State requests a waiver to change academies for Candy Shuri Miller in January 2022. Ms. Miller attended the Cleveland State Community College Training Academy, but was unable to complete the academy due to medical reasons. Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy is requesting the waiver to change academies so Ms. Miller may attend their academy.
Walter State, can you go over this scenario with us?
We can, I believe she is on here as well. So I might let her explain details, but my understanding is there was some issues that Cleveland State required her to get signed off on before attending for defense tactics. And I'll let her explain. I don't want to misspeak.
Ms. Miller, are you present?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
So previously this year, I was accepted into Cleveland State, and mind you, I divulged all medical information before I was attending to the academy, as well as the department that I represent. I was in third week, and it was a DT week that week, I believe. Monday morning, I got called into the office, and they gave me an ultimatum ultimately, and told me that if I could not fulfill 2 processes that they requested for the medical condition that I have, that I would not be able to continue. One of them was full release from all doctors, which I do have, and I have it from multiple doctors, including the specialist that I have to go to. And the second is the director wanted to speak to the specialist personally. The doctor refused, not being a spouse or a family member, that he would not. Ultimately, the director decided that if I could not come up with those, he was going to fail me for DT week, and that I would have to come back the next academy once I was able to, if I could, fulfill that that request that they had. And like I said, he refused. So I spoke to somebody at the post commission, and they said that it was better to withdraw than to be failed. And so I did withdraw with the hopes of being able to go to Walter State in the near future.
Thank you. Any questions of the board?
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Moving on to page 5, waivers of basic training or specialized substitution for in-service training. I think there's an administrative review, and I don't know that we have to call all those names, but if everybody wants to agree to attach names of said record, we can move on with that. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to page 6. Post administratively reviewed 10 more solo waivers based on recently expired governor's orders due to the recent expiration of the orders. The Post Commission has approved for solo waiver requests to be administratively approved until the virtual post transition school is completed. We'll enter in those names as record, and if there's not any discussion, we'll move on to the next. Okay. Administrative waivers, waivers of in-service.
Greene County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Jason Ronald Schutz, hired October 13th, 2021. Mr. Schutz was unable to complete all the required 2021 in-service training due to the timing of being hired. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with the post guidelines.
Showing is Greene County Sheriff's Office appearing this morning.
Yes, we are here, myself and Officer Schutz.
Okay. Can you explain to us?
Yes, I'm Lieutenant Nick Milligan. I'm the GDI here at the Greene County Sheriff's Department. We hired Mr. Schutz in mid-October, and due to it being late in the year, our in-services had been completed. Plus, we had a second outbreak of COVID that came through, so we was really limited on where we could send people for training. Mr. Schutz had previously worked for Johnson City, Tennessee Police Department, but he had been out for over 3 years, which required him to go back to the transition school. As soon as he was hired, I sent the information to Post to get him enrolled in the spring 22 transition school, which he did, and he has completed since then. But that's kind of in a nutshell why he didn't complete his training in 2021. And he's here. If you have questions for him, he can explain it too.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. A second. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Greene County. Lawrence County Sheriff's Office.
Lawrence County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Jason Peter Janke, hired July 8th, 2019. Mr. Janke did not complete 40 hours of in-service training for the 2021 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, are you with us this morning?
Present. This is Chris West with the Lawrence County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, sir. Can you explain to us what happened in this officer's case due to the in-service?
So I'm new. I'm new at this position, newly appointed within the past month or so. From my understanding is that the Deputy Janke was injured and off of work for a couple of months. When he came back, he was supposed to do the B Academy is what our in-service consisted of. And there were some issues, some miscommunication issues between the last GDI and Mr. Jenke. And ultimately he didn't finish in time. He got it done, just not within the time frame. I think he was complete January of this year. He was wrote up for it. We didn't find any issues with the emails that we were sending or that the last GDI sent him. The next step would have been off without pay. And so he completed our training, just not within the time frame. And then he also completed the training that we had for this year. This year's in service. So he double whammy. I'm not 100% certain what exactly happened, what the miscommunication was between the last GDI and him. But that in a nutshell is what I understand of it.
Questions of Lawrence County?
I'm sorry.
I was asking the board if there was any questions for you, sir.
Gotcha.
How many of the 2021 hours were completed in 2022?
I'm sorry.
How many of the 2021 training hours were completed in calendar year 2022?
He completed them all.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Lawrence County.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Office.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Brian Allen McCrory, hired July 8, 2021. Mr. McCrory was unable to complete all the required 2021 in-service training due to the timing of being hired. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, are you?
Yes, sir. This is Sergeant Doug Boringer.
Yes, sir. Can you explain to us what was going on in this officer's case?
Yes, sir. And he is also on the call. I've been GDI for 20 years. This is the first one that slipped by me, but we hired Deputy McCrory. He's bounced back between the city of Fayetteville and Lincoln County Sheriff's Department. We hired him back on July 8th. And that was going to be after we had done all our other officers with our yearly in-service back in the spring. Early summer, we started administratively, myself and other positions started working from home because of COVID. We got whammied with a second COVID and we're unable to get Deputy McCrory his in-service hours for the year. He has since left our department and gone to the Fayetteville Police Department. I believe they're due to start their in-service very soon.
Okay. Any questions from the board to Lincoln County?
Or do you intend on hiring him back?
Sir?
Do you intend on hiring him back?
If he leaves the police department again, I guess that's an option considering the environment right now. We're all desperate for officers.
We understand. Any further questions or discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
So this is one of those, we can't do one without the other, correct?
I think that's my understanding, yes, sir.
As we've tried to do before.
As we've tried to do before. Sometimes bouncing back and forth can get you hung out in no man's land. They don't understand what drags along with them and all the paperwork and all the training and catching up. They don't realize sometimes how hard it makes life on a GDI or a sheriff or a police chief.
Could be bouncing back and forth as well to Dodge in service.
And something that is so simple. And you know, we stress this at the academy classes, I think, every year. These officers are going to have to pay attention to what they're responsible for. I think attorneys have extended education they have to do and have to get those hours in. Medical profession, about every profession out here, but it seems that our profession seems to forget sometimes. Anyway, I'll entertain a motion.
Can we make a motion to approve it without the pay and contingent that he does get his in-service between a certain period of time?
I think you can.
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion that pay will be withheld until we have proof of completed in-service. Is that the motion?
It is.
Can't get paid for that year though, since he didn't complete.
You don't get that.
He won't be eligible. And then if we have the motion where it binds Lincoln County, since he's no longer employed there, then that's outside of their power.
I think it will. Technically, if he's going back to Fayetteville City, it will be left up to them. Would it not?
It'd be left up to Fayetteville, but we can't really we can't bind Lincoln County to something that's outside of their power.
Right.
I mean, he's on the leave. He missed it 1 year. He's in trouble. If he missed the second year, he loses.
The sergeant's on there for compliance for his agency.
For his agency.
I have no problem with that. Just a good way to do it.
Which I think if we look at this waiver, which is, again, Commissioner Wagner brought up a point that even I missed, is that we're trying to keep Lincoln County in compliance. It's not really him. Fayetteville City will have to deal with him. Is that your understanding, Lincoln County?
That's correct. And he started July 8th. He wasn't going to be eligible for a pay supplement anyway, this for 21. And he came to us after a break of, I believe it was about a year in. So he didn't go from one department to the other to skip in service.
If you don't mind doing me a favor and get in touch with the Fayetteville City GDI and make sure they get all this straightened out, it kind of saves us time up here in Nashville.
Yes, sir. I certainly will. I'll do it today.
Would you want to rescind your
I'll
motion?
retract it and make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Your second. Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Lincoln County, and good luck with your basketballs down there.
Thank you, gentlemen. Bye-bye, and ladies.
Murfreesboro Police Department.
Murfreesboro Police Department requests a waiver of in-service for Ava Trayvon Radley, hired August 4th, 1997. Ms. Radley failed to complete all the required in-service training for the 2021 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Murfreesboro Police Department, are you with us this morning?
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Melanie Roche, GDI.
Yes, ma'am. Can you explain to us what's going on in this officer's case?
Yes, sir. The Murfreesboro Police Department is requesting a medical waiver of in-service training because on September 14th, 2021, Officer Radley was placed on temporary limited duty status for medical reasons. Effective January 17th of 2022, Ms. Radley was officially transferred from a police officer status to a civilian employee status as an ADA accommodation.
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Murfreesboro.
Thank you, sir.
Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Washington County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Jeremy Adam Rice, hired August 16th, 2021. Mr. Rice did not complete the required in-service training for the 2021 calendar year and is deficient 8 hours of firearms training. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Washington County Sheriff's Office, are you online?
Yes, sir, I am. Sergeant Hurd here.
Okay, what are you gonna do to get this officer 8 hours?
Well, he has recently resigned from this department, sir.
Okay, so he's no longer your problem.
No, sir. He whenever I got with him, I think about 2 weeks ago, when we found out he was deficient on his 8 hours of in-service, he turned in his notice and has resigned.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to keep Washington County Sheriff's Office in compliance.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Washington.
Thank you, sir.
Waivers of 6-month rule. I don't think we have any there. 4, yeah. 4 there. Following Do y'all list the names on those? We usually have the names under those.
I don't believe so. We need to certainly probably make sure that everything that's got a name attached to it's going to be printed in the minutes. That's one for it. Or the agenda, excuse me.
Okay.
Was that store, the name? Store coming below that, for that.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah, they're down below, sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, moving on. How's this looking at the wrong paragraph? Have the following departments for 6-month rule to keep officers, them and their officers in compliance. Blaine Police Department.
Blaine Police Department requests a 6-month waiver for William Nathan Fugate, hired January 18th, 2022. In March of 2022, Mr. Fugate attended the Knox County Regional Training Academy, but was unable to complete the training due to an injury. I believe
we've already
done that.
We've already, that's what was the one off there on the page. Okay, we'll move on down to Franklin Police Department.
That did sound awfully familiar.
Yeah.
Franklin Police Department requests a 6-month waiver for Marco Antonio Cornell, hired December 6, 2021. In January of 2022, Mr. Cornell attended the Walter State Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy, but was unable to complete this training due to an injury received during training. Mr. Cornell is scheduled to re-attend the Walter State Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy, July of 2022.
Okay. Franklin PD, do you have somebody online?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Mount Pleasant Police Department.
Mount Pleasant Police Department requests a 6-month waiver for Elston Michael Bridges, hired November 3rd, 2021 and April of 2022. Mr. Bridges attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy, but was unable to complete the training due to a medical emergency during training. Mr. Bridges is scheduled to re-attend the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy upon receiving medical clearance.
Nobody appearing, any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Motion second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Moving on, we should be on page 9, back to Washington County Sheriff's Office.
Washington County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Lonnie Keys Ratliff, hired January 31, 2022. Mr. Ratliff was scheduled to attend the May 2022 transition course at Toledo, but was unable to attend training due to a medical diagnosis received April of 2022. Mr. Ratliff is scheduled to attend transition in August of 2022.
Discussion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, discussion on the motion, hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Motion is approved. Waivers of 8-month rule.
Houston Police Department requests an 8-month waiver for Richard Allen Crossno, hired April 5th, 2021. On August 6th, 2021, Mr. Crossno went on medical leave. Prior to going on leave, Mr. Crossno completed all the required 2021 in-service training.
Discussion.
Since it doesn't appear that there's anything controversial, can we just read all these in and take care of it with a single motion?
I would enjoy that quite much.
I'll second it.
I'll continue on. Metro Nashville Airport Department of Public Safety request 8-month waiver for Vince Dye, hired January 12, 1998. Mr. Dye retired on December 17th, 2021. Prior to retirement, they've got names mixed up. 2 different names. You've got a Lovell and a DY. Can somebody check the record on that?
Well, both of them was, at the same dates.
Okay, I think it's a typo because the next one down is Metro is a Lovell.
That's it.
Okay.
They both basically completed, retired prior to both attaining law.
Okay. Both Metro, the first 2 Metros are the same. I'll entertain a double motion on that one.
And the third one. The airport.
Let's go to page 10. See if there's any more Metro. They have one on page 10, retired. So it'll be Officer Vince Dye, Officer Jerry Lovell, Steve Matheny, and Philip Schmidt for the record. All in favor?
Might as well do the other one. Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities is same for retirement and service training. So we'll take all the below. Any discussion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion on the motion? Here, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Must have been a big party December 17th.
Everybody went together.
We,
Okay.
yeah, the previous matter about the 6-month rule, we were looking for a waiver. We did a waiver of academy, I believe, previously, and we were making sure we were, when the motions were filed, that those, any motions for those who seeking academy would also include a waiver for the 6 month.
For medical.
For medical.
Okay. So those are 2 and 1 taken care of. So there's the in-service and, or the academy issue, and then there was a separate medical issue, and that's why you saw Officer Blaine. And if we need to go back and address the medical and get it for a point of record.
If you'd like to make a motion to approve that.
Have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the medical waiver for Officer Blaine, UT Knoxville PD, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. T's are crossed. T's are crossed and I's are soon to be dotted. Waiver for medical paid midway, page 10.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Office requests a medical waiver for Murray Owen Blackwelder Jr., hired September 1st, 2014. On February 2nd, 2021, Mr. Blackwelder was placed on medical leave and was unable to attend in-service. Mr. Blackwelder completed 23.75 of the required 40 hours of in-service training for the 2021 calendar year.
And I would.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved here second. Any discussion? And I will say that Sheriff Blackwelder has had some serious medical issues. And I think so much has been to the Mayo Clinic. So y'all keep him in your thoughts. Probably just happen to know Murray quite well. So motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Sevierville Police Department.
Sevierville Police Department requests a medical waiver for Savannah Carly Kirkland, hired June 8, 2020. On November 30th, 2021, Ms. Kirkland was placed on light desk duty per medical orders. Ms. Kirkland completed 33 of the required 40 hours of in-service training for the 2021 calendar year.
Motion to approve.
Motion, number second. Second, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Page 11.
Post is reviewed and administratively approved 8 military waivers and corresponding supporting documents. All the reported documents appear to be in order and meet or exceed minimum standards set forth by the peace officer standards and training requirements.
Any questions or discussion on the military waivers? Not move on for application for training officer.
Post investigators have reviewed and approved 2 applications for training officer. They appear to meet the criteria for approval.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Applications for certified instructor.
Post investigators have reviewed and approved 50 applications for certified instructor, and they appear to be in order and meet minimum standards, and they have completed the minimum hours and attendance of required courses.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Curriculum and test.
Post investigators have reviewed and approved 163 in-service and specialized training classes this month, as they appear to be in order and meet or exceed minimum standards as set forth by the peace officer standards and training requirements. They've made note of these training officers included or meet the post requirements for firearms, EVOC, mental illness, and CSA.
And for discussion on that, well, I don't know if we needed to add our new requirements at some point in time to that.
That'll be next year.
That'll be next year's. That's right. Okay, so I'm staying in touch with you on that.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Old business, none to report. New business items for discussion.
The 2022 audit / inspection of the Blount County Sheriff's Office Regional Law Enforcement Training Academy was conducted on April 9th, 2022. There were no findings and no recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority Police Department.
Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority Police Department in the matter of Marquise Deshawn Costin, who was hired April 5th, 2021. However, Post did not receive required paperwork until April 28th, 2022.
More than a year. Is the Memphis Shelby Airport Authority online?
Yes, sir.
Tell
Jarvis
us-
Harden,
tell us what
GDI
happened
for the
with
Memphis
this-
Airport.
Thank you. Tell us what happened with this breakdown and getting the paperwork in.
At the time, Mr. Costin was my first applicant as a new hire. So I was unaware of the proper procedures with ACADIS. So all the documentation required by Post were all sent to Memphis Police Academy. The medical, the psych exam, background, everything was sent to Memphis Police Academy. That was the only thing I was aware that I needed to do. So I didn't know that I needed to send that information to ACADIS, but once I spoke to Miss Lakita Taylor about it, I made sure I got those documents to her as soon as possible.
Okay, Ms. Lakita, is everybody squared up now? Everybody's good to go? Okay. Any questions? Have a motion and second to approve. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none? Okay, good luck. You know what to do from now on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Page 13, Sevierville Police Department.
Sevierville Police Department requests the Post Commission's approval for Julio Armando Cruz, hired August 23rd, 2021, to attend transition school a second time. Mr. Cruz attended and passed all portions of the February 22 transition course, except for the final exam.
Sevierville, are you online?
We are, Deputy Chief Sam Henson and our GDI Sergeant Sean Crawford is here, along with Officer Cruz, and we respectfully submit that his test score is not indicative of the quality and caliber of officer that he is. He missed the thing by 1 point, and he is very confident, and as are we, that he can pass that if given another chance. We respectfully request that he be allowed to attend transition and give that thing another go. And he's here, he can speak for himself as well.
Is he a nervous tester?
I'll let him answer that.
Yes, sir. I tend to blank out a little bit, but I have no excuse. I just missed about 1 point. I mean, I believe I can pass it if I get another opportunity. With no problem.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One opposition. Motion approves. Good luck. I don't like taking tests either. I don't do very well.
Thank you.
Do we take the test or re-enroll?
Well, let's see, what's to take the test or re-enroll and transition on your motion?
Hey, Lord.
Commissioner, y'all's motion, is this the motion to retake the test or to re-attend transition?
Allow him to transition school because he'll probably need it to pass the test.
They're about to
Sevierville, are you still with us?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We're here.
Y'all understand what the motion is for him to come back to transition school again? Not just take the test, but come to the school?
Yes, sir. We're aware of that.
They're aware of it.
He said he was aware.
Okay, we just want to clarify, we get ahead of ourselves sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That looks to be the end of the 13-page agenda for the May 20th, 2022 Post Commission meeting.
We did
We can adjourn and then come.
We have a hearing scheduled to start at 11 a.m.
You have approximately 29 minutes to take a break and reassemble in the room, please, for a formal hearing. Motion to adjourn. All indicate, stand up and take a break.